Friends, today we are going to start with a new module, that is photoelasticity. In the earlier two modules we have discussed about the different types of strain gauges and strain gauge row sets. Now this is the another method in the experimental stress analysis where we are using the light energy. We are using the light energy to determine the stresses developed in a material. Okay. So majorly we are conducting the whatever the test on a optical materials in here, which are going to behave in a refractory, which have the refractory index. Okay, so this is the photoelasticity. For this is the first video I'm making. Similarly for this chapter I'm going to make some more videos. Okay. Myself, Viresh Kumar KS, Assistant Professor of in a Department of Mechanical Engineering in JIT Davangere. Okay, photoelasticity. Before going to the photoelasticity, whatever the topic, we are going to discuss about some of the topics regarding the light. Okay, so see this nature of light and wave theory of light. Okay, so nature of light, how light is going to be considered and how it's going to behave. Okay, consider a disturbance that is propagate through the space in a periodic manner. Such a disturbance can be represented graphically as shown in figure. That y denotes the magnitude of the disturbance. Okay, you can see this graph. Okay, you can see this graph. It is a sinusoidal in the form. So the light is also in the wave form. With the, if you consider the wave theory of the light, it's also in the wave form. If a particle is generated in the atmosphere from the source, it is going to be move in one direction in the form of wave, as I am showing in here. Okay, so why is this direction? Okay, why is the magnitude of this whatever the light particle, and it is moving in a sinusoidal direction. Okay, so this is A represents the amplitude of that wave, and lambda represents the wavelength. The wavelength is nothing but the distance between two crest points. Okay, two consecutive crest points or two consecutive root points. Okay, so like that it should be there. Okay, so and it is moving in a velocity v in the direction of z. So that is the thing we are going to consider in this whatever the nature of light. Okay, the light which is moving in a wave form in the direction of z, and this can be taken in the form of y is equal to fz. So y is the magnitude and fz is the function to represent the wavy form of this whatever the light is in the periodic in z. Okay, so it is the value repeated after the regular intervals of z. So f of z is nothing but it is the value which is going to repeated after the intervals of some z value. The lowest value of this interval is called wavelength. That is the distance between, means the distance between the one crust point to the another crust point is called as the wavelength, and it is generally denoted in the form of lambda. The time taken for one wavelength to pass through a point in a space is called period. Okay, so as we know, so point should pass through from one point to another point. Okay, so that can be considered as period and denoted by the in the form of t or tau. Okay, c is the velocity of propagation of disturbance. Then if you consider the c is a velocity of a light, so that equation which is going to be considered as propagation of disturbance, lambda is equal to c into tau. So where lambda is the wavelength, c is the velocity of light, and tau is the time period where the light is going to be propagated. The reciprocal of the period, the t tau, the reciprocal means 1 by tau is equal to the frequency of the light. Okay, it is the number of oscillations at a given point per second. Means if you consider a wave, it should have some oscillations in particular time, for example a second. So that considered as a frequency. Next we move on to the this diagram. You can see this diagram. So this is the source of light. Okay, what happens, the light is emerging from this source and it transfers through all directions. I am showing in only one direction here, but it is transfers in all directions. So you can see the light, when it emerges, it is in the form of circular wave. Okay, so then after some time it increases its its dia of whatever the wave, and it propagates at some infinite whatever the level. It will be parallel to the this whatever the screen. It may be perpendicular to the direction of propagation, so it may be turned into the perpendicular to the direction of propagations. So this wave, this whatever the points, locus of point, which is having the equal amount of magnitude. You can see, let's say disturbance originates from a point source. The disturbance travels outwards in all direction. If the medium is isotropic, the speed of propagation of this disturbance will be same in all directions. So isotropic meanings the whatever the light travels, it will be not disturbed by any type of media, so it is not going to be reduced, so it will be equally circulated in all directions. So consequently the disturbance travels in the form of a divergence spherical wave. The locus of point having a same magnitude of disturbance is known as wavefront. This is the important, the locus of point having the same magnitude of disturbance is known as wavefront. This is the wavefront. You can see this is having one type of magnitude, this having another type of magnitude. It's like that, each wave having another one type of magnitude. So the equal amount of magnitude or same magnitude which the locus of point is considered is called as a wavefront. In this particular case, the wavefronts are surface of concentric spheres. Okay, the source as center. As the spherical wave expands outwards, the radius becomes larger and the finite portion of the wavefront tends to become plane. So it becomes planes at some finite value. The direction of propagation of the disturbance would be perpendicular to the plane and is called a wave normal. Okay, transverse disturbance. So what happens, as this wavefront increases, it will be turned into perpendicular to the direction of propagation. So this whatever the wave form is called as wave front. It's tend to become as wave front. Okay, the direction of propagation disturbance, it's no sorry, it's the wave normal. It is, this will be wave front, this will be wave normal. It's called as transverse disturbance. So whatever the light which is coming out of the sun, it is in the form of nearly it will be in the form of wave normal. So it is in the wave normal form. So we are getting the transverse disturbance from that. The disturbance itself could be either perpendicular to the wave normal or in the direction of wave normal, longitudinal disturbance. It may be in the longitudinal direction. We will see in the next. Okay, the light wave belongs to the class of transverse wave, and a disturbance can be represented by means of a vector called light vector. So you can see this the light which is coming from some source, so it is moving in one direction. Let's consider this is the z direction. Okay, the light is moving in a z direction. So this light vector is perpendicular to the direction of propagation. Okay, what happens, so the light vector which is coming from here, it will be considered as a light vectors which is along the propagation, it is perpendicular to the propagation of light. As it is seeing in this, it is moving in this direction, but it will be forming the whatever the waves. In this form it is making the waves, so such that it is making perpendicular inclination with the propagations. Okay, the light is known to be electromagnetic disturbance propagated through the space, and two vectors, namely electric force vector H and the associated with it. These two vectors are mutually perpendicular, and either of these can be taken as fundamentally light vectors. So this light is nothing but a form of electromagnetic disturbance. So electromagnetic is nothing but it's having electrical waves and it's also having the magnetic waves. So the H represents the electric force vector, the H represents the electric force vector, and E represents the magnetic vector. Okay, so these two vectors forming some waves form, so that propagates in some direction. So this is the fundamental equation. for a light wave in a light wave traveling in a z direction. So this is the y, which is representing the magnitude of the light. A represent the this is the amplitude, and this lambda represent the wavelength, and z represent the direction of whatever the propagation. C represents the velocity, and t, small t, represent the time taken, and epsilon is a some constant which is considered for the light vector. Okay, 2 pi by lambda is going to give the direction of this whatever the this whatever the light is moving. For a given value of z, the above equation can be written as. So this derivation, this equation is taken or derived. I have just given the notes for this, so you can see, go through that how it came. You have to consider a small, whatever the magnitude equation. From that you are considering the wave is moving in z direction. When it's moving z direction, what type of this phase is going to take place. This is the phase value. So this phase value is considered. After that, but if by using the Fourier transformation equation, we will get this equation. Okay, we will finally get this equation. So by using this equation, we are further, we will calculate the whatever the value which we required. Okay, for a given value of z, the above equation can be written as, means we know the value of z. If we know the value of z, means where the point of particle is moving, then we just write the equation in this form. There we are going to write y is equal to a cos 2 pi by lambda ct plus epsilon 1, where epsilon 1 is some constant from equation 1. Okay, this is the equation I just explained in earlier. The 1 by t, that is the reciprocal of time taken, is equal to the frequency, which is written as 1 by t is equal to c by lambda, which is equal to f. Where f is frequency, this can be stated as a number of wavelengths traveled per second. Means what are the number of wavelengths within a second, which will be considered as a frequency, or number of frequency oscillations within a second. 2 pi f represents the quantity in radians per second, is called a circular frequency. The 2 pi f is going to represent the circular frequency where the whatever the light is moving. Denoting the circular frequency by omega, the equation A become. So the earlier equation, where we are going to include 2 pi f in the place of this ct, can be written in the form of, you can write the ct in the form of f, and this equation can be written as this 2 pi f 1 by tau into ct can be turned into a 2 pi f, and you can write the equation as y is equal to a cos omega t plus epsilon 1. This can be taken as a equation B. Instead of cosine function, sine function can also be used to represent the plane harmonic wave. You can also use the sine harmonic waves, that is y is equal to a sine omega t plus epsilon 1. This is the equation C. Okay. The frequency of light wave determines the quality which the eye recognizes color. Okay, so as we know, the light is in the form of frequency, but we can't see all the frequencies of light. Okay, the frequency of light wave determines the quality which eye recognizes a color. So we can recognize the colors in certain frequency. You can see here, the lowest frequency which the human eye can recognize as light is about 390 into 10 raised to 12. Sorry, 12 is missing in here. 10 raised to 12. And the corresponding, it is deep violet. You can see here, this is the spectrum. Okay, you can see the gamma rays first, x-rays, ultraviolet rays. Next, this is the passage which represents the visible light, where we can see the colors. This is the infrared ray, this is radar, and FM rays, TV rays, short waves, AM. Only the visible thing is this much. These are things are not visible to our eyes. Only this much of frequency of light is going to be visible in here. So you can see it may be 300 nanometers to the 770 nanometers. You can see the light. So the minimum light which is visible, it is violet, deep violet, and the highest amount of light we can, highest nanometer wavelength of light we can see it is deep red. So you can see in here. The highest frequency is 770 into 10 raised to 12 corresponding to the 10 raised to 10 nanometers corresponding to the deep red color. Between these two frequencies, one find the color arrangement. Okay, between these frequencies we are going to get the color arrangement, that is violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red, Vibgyor. Okay, the gradation from one color to next is smooth and not abrupt. Okay, this is the similar thing. The light corresponding to one particular frequency and one color is said to be homogeneous and monochromatic. Okay, let's move on to the electromagnetic waves. It was stated that light wave belongs to the class of transverse waves and the disturbance can be represented by means of vector called light vectors. As we studied earlier, the light when it is propagates, it is in the form of transverse waves, and the vector is going to be represented by light vector. You can see the two waves in here. One is blue color, one is red color. Okay, these two waves are representing the two vectors. Okay, one is the blue color representing the electric field vector and red color representing the magnetic field vector. So it is moving in this direction. Okay, the wavelength is considered as a distance between the crest. Okay, so what happens, this is in the wavy form and it is moving perpendicular with the propagation. You can see this short lines inside the wave which says that it is making perpendicular relation with the line of propagation. Okay, in ordinary light, the tip of the light vector describes the random vibratory motion in a plane transverse to the direction of propagation. If the tip of the light vector is forced to follow the definite law, the light is said to be polarized. So we are moving to the polarization. What is polarization? This is the explanation. If the tip of the light vector is forced to follow the definite law, means if the light, if there is a point which is at the tip, means if we see this wave, we have number of points which is making perpendicular relations. The tip of that, whatever the point which will be forced to follow some definite law, means if you want to force that point to move in particular orientation, such light is said to be polarized. Okay, that is the thing which you have to understand. So different type of polarization you can see here, the plane polarized light, circular polarized light and elliptical polarized light. So first see the plane polarized light. So if you want to make polarization of light, you require a polarizer. So polarizer is nothing but it's a whatever the plate which consisting of a polarizing element. So what happens, if the light pass through that plate or optical element, what happens, the light is get polarized. You can see windows, for a general example, windows, house windows. So what happens, when you see the whatever the light energy coming from the sun rays, when it hits the windows get make the light into polarized. It will not allow complete light to enter into the house. It will restrict some amount of light and it will allow only some amount of light. So that's why what happens, when the light enters in from this windows, what happens, it will be the intensity of light is diminished. Okay, you can't find the high intensity. So that is the polarization. So it's a simple example. Similar type we are using polarides. These polarides are merely designed to make the light polarized. So we can make the light in three form polarization. One is plane polarization, circular polarization and elliptical polarization. In the plane polarization, what happens, this is the polaride. What happens, if the light coming from here, when it hits this polaride, there is a lot of different waves it is coming from here, but when it hits here, only one type of wave is going to be entered inside. So this is only one plane. So such plane type of wave is allowed to enter into the polaride and it will make the polarized wave. So such wave is called as a plane polarized light. Similarly, another polaride which is used, such that polaride is making the light to make a circular polarization. So whatever the light which is coming from here, when it hits this polarizing plate, what happens? The light is converted into a circular polarizer. You can see the wave is in the form of circular polarization. It will be like a spring. You can see a example of spring. It will be turned into a spring type of construction, and it will form this type. And this if you see from this direction, it will look like a circularly polarized. It will be in a circular shape. And this next is the elliptical polarization. This is the elliptical polarization. Similar way as you see the circular, you can see the elliptical polarization here. So this is the elliptical polarizer. Okay, this is the explanation of that polarization. So next we move on to the optically isotropic. The optical isotropic materials are nothing but it's generally I say one example, that is glass, a plain glass. When you see through the glass, means whatever the appearance which is means the plain glass, if you see through that glass you won't find any difference. Okay, similarly if the light coming from that glass, what happens? There is no variation, it's going to take place. So the refractive index is same for all direction in the material. So as you see the light, if you pass through that whatever the glass, it will have the same refractive index as before it hits the light. So therefore the light propagates with the same velocity in all directions. Such materials are called as optically isotropic. Okay, so next is optically anisotropic materials. So this is very important for this polarization topic. The ability to resolve the light vector into two orthogonal components and transmit the components with a different velocity in different direction. Such materials is known as double refracting or bifringent material. This type of property is known as optically anisotropic property. So what happens? In isotropic there is no change in refractive index, but in anisotropic what happens? The light vector get resolved, okay, into two orthogonal components. Okay, this light vector is get resolved into two orthogonal component, and that will be transmitted with a different velocity in different direction. So such property, that whatever the property which we are going to get in the material, so such property is called as a double refracting or bifringent material. We are going to tell that type of material. One of the example for this double refraction, this is the Nicol prism. It is a double refraction in Nicol prism. So what happens? You can see this Nicol prism, it will be in this shape. First the light, it is an unpolarized light in the form of unpolarized. When it hits the Nicolas prism at this point, you can see one is propagating in the same direction, but another light is just inclined. Okay, just inclined. It is making some inclination. So what happens? This whatever the splitting of light is going to be considered as a double refraction. So double refraction is going to take place. One refraction is through this line, and another refraction which making some angle, and this whatever the refracted light ray is going to hit on the plane of this whatever the Canada blossom layer which is present in the Nicolas prism, and it again get refracted in ordinary ray. So like that, this refraction phenomena is considered for the anisotropic materials. When the beam of the unpolarized light is incident on the crystalline material, the beam upon entering the metal gets split into two components of plane polarized light. This phenomena is known as double refraction, and the material exhibiting this behavior is known as double refractive material. So next we study about the wave plates. As you know, wave plates is also one of the important part of a photoelasticity or photoelasticity. So wave plates are the main elements which are used to make the polarization. Okay, so mainly there are two types of wave plates. One is quarter wave plates and double quarter wave plates we are going to consider in here. So each having the different inclinations. Okay, the wave plate certain crystalline material, it's a crystalline material having the ability to resolve the light vector into two orthogonal components. It's having ability, it's going to split the light into two vectors and transmit each one of them in a different speed and phase. Okay, so it's having that capacity. This phase difference is proportional to the thickness of the plate. A typical wave plate is shown in figure. So this is the wave plate. It may be in circular shape or it may be in rectangular shape, whatever it be. Basically it is in a circular shape. So it's a optical material, it is a crystalline material. So when the light hits this whatever the crystal at the center or anywhere, the light first and enters in here, it will be in a one wave form. Okay, but when it hits here, when it enters here, it will be turned into a two wave form. You can see here, one wave is sigma 1 and one wave is sigma 2. Okay, this the inclination is 90 degree with respect to each stresses. So sigma 1 is the principal stress, sigma 1 and sigma 2 are the principal stresses. The light vector which is moving in the directions is representing the principal stresses. Okay, so you can see the sigma 1 is a fast moving axis, sigma 2 is a slow moving axis. So what happens, the wave, this is actually, if you see this wave in the viewing direction, it's not in the side view, it's in a front view. What happens, that's whatever the wave is in, it is a light vector, so it's only showing one point of light vector, but it's having number of waves. So this angle 90 degree or this orientation, which represents the splitting of light in two direction, and that represents the principal stress directions. The photoelasticity. The photoelasticity is a stress analysis technique using the relative retardation between two components of light vectors along the direction of two principal stresses at a point on photoelastic model. So you can see this is here when the this is the wave plate. When the light hits here, the light is converted into two waves. One is fast moving axis and one is slow moving axis. Since these fast moving and slow moving axes are exactly coincides with the principal stress directions. So by that retardation, there is a retardation get occurs because of speed and the whatever the moving speed is going to changes. So that retardation is considered for the analysis. By that we are determining the stress value of the model. So like that we are going to do the photoelastic study. The photoelastic model. A photoelastic model is a transparent material possessing a property of temporary double refraction. Means what happens, the photoelastic model which we are going to consider in here, it is primarily it is not having any refractive indices, means it doesn't have any variation of refractive indices, but when the load is applied to the photoelastic material, it will turn into a double refractive material. Okay, so then it is going to make some this whatever the patterns which are obtained at the final view, that will be considered for the analysis of stress. Without external, you can see a photoelastic model is a transparent material possessing a property of temporary double refraction. Without external load, the model is isotropic, means there is no variation of refractive index, and when it is loaded, the refractive index changes along the direction of principal stresses in the model. So like that the stress is going to be changes in the model. Okay, thank you students. I think you have got some idea regarding the light, how the light is going to behave and what are the elements which are coming in the photoelasticity. But this is the basic thing. Next which we are going to study, it's the very important things of that, what are the photoelasticity. So next video I am going to make, those are all very important for your syllabus purpose, your exam purpose. So study this, and with respect to that you have to understand the next topics. Thank you.